Morning everybody, it's Nina. Right, today I thought I'd have a go at making some watercolour cards using embossing powder and various watercolours. And I'm just going to run through what I'm going to be using. I've got a sheet of watercolour paper here, and let me just grab over and I'll tell you what mine is. Mine is from let's have a look. It's mixed media paper, Daler Rowney, and it's A4 size, and it is £169. So that's what I'm using, and all I did was took a page out. I've sort of opened up the spiral, I've taken a page out, and I've just chopped the spiral edge with my guillotine. And then I've got a basic card and envelope. These are from a pack that I bought in Hobbycraft. This is sort of like a linen texture. This is cream, and then just a plain envelope to go with it. So I've got that. And then let me just move that away so that I don't spill anything on it. But I'm going to be using these two stamps here. And these are from the Dilutions Fancy Florals, so I've got those. Then I'm going to be using my embossing stamp pad and opaque bright white embossing powder, and obviously my heat gun, my heat tool. And then the watercolours that I want to try. First off, I've got a pack of Brushos here. These are sort of like powdered crystal watercolour that are in powder form. They come in these little tubs. You punch the holes just so that you can sprinkle out a small amount. I've got 12 colours. I have today chosen the purple and the turquoise. And then you activate them with water, but they give amazing effects. I got these from the scrap store. I think they were £13 for the whole box. And although they look tiny, there is an awful lot of pigment. They are really strong, and these go a long, long way. And that was a cheap price. It might even have been less than that. It was around the £10 mark anyway. I've got a feeling it was 12 to 13. So I'm going to try Brushos. I also want to try the same technique using, these are my homemade twinkling H2Os. And I bought some mica powder in various colours. I'll have to put a link because I can't remember the name of the company that I bought mine from, but it was much, much cheaper than buying the twinkling H2Os. And what I did was I sprinkled some of my mica powder into this, this ice cube tray, which I got from the pound shop. Put a little bit of gum arabic. You can either use it in powder form, or I used mine in liquid form, and a little bit of water. Gave it a good old mix, and then I let these set. I made these before Christmas, and they're just absolutely brilliant. So I've got, you know, quite a few colours there. So I've sprayed these with water. So I'm going to be trying my technique with these a bit later. I also want to try regular watercolour. This is my son's set that he had for textiles when he did it for GCSE at school, so I've borrowed it. And then finally, I want to try the same technique with these are the Psy watercolour pens, so I've got those. I've also got some Tombos. Those do exactly the same thing. And I've also got my Do Crafts watercolour pens as well. These are just brush tip watercolour pens. They all do the same job. So whatever brand you've got, you'll be able to do this technique. So we should end up with 4 cards, the same, but using slightly different materials. So, right, I'm just going to sort of have a tidy up, get myself organised, and I shall be back to start the first card using Brushos. See you shortly. Right, first of all, I'm going to do my envelope. And the reason I'm doing this first is that by the time I've got all my watercolours out, I don't want to sort of run the risk of contaminating and getting colour on my envelope. I want to keep it sort of nice and crisp and clean. So I'm just going to stamp up my flower stamp. And then I want to, let me just make sure I've got the envelope in the right place. I want to put a flower just in the corner there. I want another one down here. And then I want one on the back, just over the envelope seal. There we go. So let me just pop that away. And then what I want to do is, if I can find it, I have a piece of folded paper somewhere buried underneath this mountain of stuff. Here we go. Just bear with me. Good grief. Right, okay, so I'm going to sprinkle my embossing powder. There we go. Just tip that off. Just check. Yep, that's absolutely fine. And then I want to do the other side as well. And then if you've got a little bit of stray powder like I have here, just use a paintbrush just to wipe away what you don't want before you get your heat gun out, because once you've got your heat gun on it, then that's it, it's set and it's too late, you won't be able to do anything about it. Right, there we go, and then I shall do this one here. And then again, I've got a few stray bits just here, which I'm going to just gently brush away. There we are. So I'm just going to put that on one side for a minute whilst I just pour this excess back into the jar. There we go, that's that done. Move that away for later. And then I've just got my heat tool here. And I'm just going to heat where I've embossed, where I've put the embossing powder. And you'll see when it starts to turn glossy, you know that the powder has melted. There we go, so that's that one done. Doesn't take long, just a few seconds. And I'm going to turn it over and do the one on the back. Oh, my cord is caught on something. I think it's caught on my chair. Watch your hands with this, ladies, because it gets incredibly warm. There we go. And so now we've just got, you know, an envelope with a little bit more detail. It just makes it look nice and professional. So there we are, that's the envelope done. So then I've got my piece of watercolour paper, and what I'm going to do is put the slightly larger stamp on. I need my bigger stamp pad, bear with me. Oh, here it is. Stick that one back on there. Right, okay, so let's get the embossing pad out again. Oh, that one's not stuck on properly. And then I'm just going to put random flowers all over the watercolour piece of paper. One up here. There we go, and down there. Then I'm going to switch over to the smaller one. Oh, let's glue it down a bit. I cleaned this earlier because I had some ink on it, so it's lost its sticky on the back. And just put these in random places, wherever you think you want them to go. How's that looking? And we can have a couple more over here. Have one there, and then we'll have one in the corner here as well. There we go. Right, let's close that up. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. Let me just grab a bigger piece of paper. Bear with me a second. I'm just after a piece of A3. I'm just going to fold. There we are. So again, I've done the same thing with a piece of A3 paper, folded it in half just so that I can put the excess embossing powder back in. And I'm just going to tip this over where I've put the embossed flowers. I might need to tip this back in and do this a couple of times. Let's do this one down here. And I'm going to tap that off. In fact, I'll brush all the excess bits off in a second, so I'm just going to pour this back in. There we go. And then we'll do the others. And I shall come back, you see what I'm doing, I shall come back when I'm ready to use the heat tool. Right, I'm back again. I've continued to put the embossing powder over the page, and I've used the heat tool already. I didn't think you needed to see me dry it. So it's now all completely set and ready for me to add some colour. I did add 2 more bits and pieces of flowers, and I've somehow managed to get some pink into the equation, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to cover it with colour anyway. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my water spray, and I'm just going to spray some water on the watercolour paper. It will warp a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. And then I'm going to scatter some of the Brusho over the page. This is the purple, as you can see, and then I'm going to add a bit of the turquoise. Let me just grab a pencil so that I can try and hold it down, and then I'm going to spray. You don't need much of the Brushos, and you can always add more, so I'd go gently and then add more as and when you need it. I'm just going to poke a little bit of a bigger hole in my purple. You want to be careful about the size of your hole if you've got these Brushos, because an awful lot comes out if you're not careful. I'm just adding a little bit more of the turquoise. I shall add a bit more of the purple as well, just in random places. There we are, and then activate it again. But how pretty is that? Oh, excuse me. A bit more down here. That is just so gorgeous. A little bit more down here, so you can just keep adding little bits as and where you think you want it. And then what I'm going to do is, in fact, I'm going to use a cleaner piece of kitchen roll. I've got mine that's all inky, and I'm just going to roll over just to take some of the excess liquid away. And then I'm going to dry that with my heat tool. Right, okay, my card now is nice and dry. It's a little bit warped, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to adhere it down to the card front anyway. But what I've done is I've printed out on cream cardstock to match the card a little happy birthday sentiment. You could put whatever sentiment you want on there. And then I've grabbed my card front. In fact, let's turn it round the other way. I've got a little bit of a dent in that one. And let's have a measure. My card measures 5 6/8 by 5 6/8. So what I will do is I will trim this down to about 5 1/2 by 5 1/2, and then I shall come back. Right then, I've cut my card down to size now. And I've applied some of the red, really strong sticky tape to the back. I've printed off my happy birthday sentiment and put some raised sticky pads there, which I shall just peel off now and stick to the card. A little tip for you: if you put one in the middle as well, because I found that if you don't, it just squashes down to nothing in the centre. So let me just centralise that. Yep, there we go, that's good. Peel off the tape. I can never get the red stuff off, and then it sticks to you as well. Good old bit of static. Oh, come on. This is where I could do with nice long nails. But I keep mine trimmed down. I played the violin when I was younger for years, and I swear that it's softened my nails so much that they just don't grow. So I have to keep them really short. Oh, sorry about this. Right, there we go. So just centralise that on the cardstock as best you can. I'm going to have to trim my right hand edge just slightly, but that's absolutely fine. So that's my card. So out of that piece of paper, I have got my card, I've got a tag, and I've just cut up some trim here, so I'm just going to poke that through the hole. There we are. Oh, stuck to me. Oh, where's the opening? This is fiddly. So just pull that through. So there we go. I've got a nice pretty tag for a present, my birthday card, and then I've still got a piece of card left over as well for another project. I can cut up into inches or do whatever I want with it. Make some bookmarks, make another card if you want to. So right, I shall be back shortly to try out the same card with the other techniques. But what you can see, where I've put the embossed powder on, it's created a resist. So you can still see the flowers in nice bright white. And I just think that's a really, really pretty, very simple card. So I shall be back just to see how the other watercolour products compare. See you again soon. Right, I'm back again now to try this with my homemade twinkling H2Os. So I've cut up a small piece of the embossed paper, and I've put some water in a few of the colours that I want to use. I want to use the pink, a purple, turquoise and a deeper blue. But I'm going to spray my page with some water first, just to try and get all the colours to mingle. And then I'm just going to put some of the watercolour on in some random places. Got my water jar to the left hand side of me. This is really shimmery. I don't know whether you can see. Very pretty. And then a bit of the darker blue. Let's have some of that. just trying to get the colours to blend. And then I've got a little bit of the pink. Now of course this won't look like the Brusho did, but I just want to sort of try and create a really pretty watercolour effect. And of course this will have some nice shimmer to it. Smush that around. I'd be careful with the colours that you use when you're doing this as well, because you don't want to create mud. So just bear that in mind when you're choosing what you're going to do. Let's put a bit more water on just to disperse it. Here I am. I don't like my white space, so making sure that I haven't got any left. Oh dear me, it's a real phobia. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in with my tissue paper again and just mop up some of the liquid on that, and then I'm going to dry that with my heat gun, and I shall be back once it's dried. Right, I've dried this card now, and I'm going to go back over it with some more of those colours. I'm not really too happy with the way that it's come out. I've tried it on another one where I've gone back over with some more of the same colourways, and I just like the depth of the colour that this one gives. I don't know whether you can see if I tilt it, but it is so sparkly. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And then what I did once I dried it was just go over it with a wet baby wipe. Here you go, just to reveal the resist, the embossing underneath, and I think that's really, really pretty. So I'm going to show you what I did. So I just went over again. Let me just clean my brush, just make sure that I'm in camera for you. So I just went over again with more of the colour, just to give it more depth. Spray some more water on to get it to blend and mix. Then I'll go and add some turquoise. Just adding as much or as little colour really as you like. But of course, if you've got twinkling H2Os, there's no reason why you can't use those or the other equivalents. I mean, there's lots of different ones out there. I can't think of the brand names of them all, but you know what they are. This was just me trying to save money and doing it a cheaper way to get more colours. Just blend those in, a bit more water just to get it to blend out. And then again, instead of blotting that this time with the tissue, I'm just going to dry it as it is. So I'll be back to show you what it looks like once I've dried it. So there we are. There's the card made with twinkling H2Os. I shall go away and cut this up and mount it to the card blank in the same way that I did the others. And I'll show you what it looks like finished. And there we are. That's the mounted onto a card and made into a tag. So really pretty. I just wish that you could see the shimmer on that. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And what I'll do at the end when I've completed all 4 of them is I'll show you them all together so that you can see how they compare. So I'll be back shortly to try them with standard watercolour palette. Right, now because I haven't got turquoises and so on and so forth in here, I thought I might as well sort of go for a completely different colourway. So this time I'm going to try red and orange and perhaps a little bit of yellow in there. So I'm going to spray my card the same as I did before, just to get the, oh, I've got a bit of turquoise on there anyway. Right, and I shall, in fact, actually I'm going to start light and go to dark. So I'm going to start off with some of the yellow. And this is just a cheap watercolour palette. I think my son got this from school, and the brand is Specialist Crafts and Design. I think it was about £5. I don't know whether that's a special price that school get it or what, I don't know, but that price seems to stick in my mind. So I'm going to add some orange. Let that flow around. Watercolour seems to be all the rage at the moment, doesn't it? A bit more water to get that flowing. And as I say, this does warp, but as you can see from the other cards, by the time you've got your double-sided sticky tape on it, it holds it well and truly in place anyway, so the fact that it warps doesn't really bother me that much. It all adds to the homemade look. A bit more water there. This is a really pretty sort of magenta red, this one here. Really pretty. Just move that colour around as you want it. I'm happy with that. Again, be careful with the colours that you choose, because you don't want to end up with a horrible shade of mud. And I'm just looking around here for, I had some scrap pieces of paper on the floor. Here we go. Let's just reach down and get one. Let me just move that out of the way a minute. And what I'm going to do is just mop up onto this scrap paper here, rather than waste that paint. It is only thin paper, but that's fine. I did the same thing with the H2Os, and look at that, really shimmery, very pretty. So move that to one side, and then I'm just going to go off and dry this in the same way as I did the others, so I'll be back once it's dry. Right, so there we are, that's how that one's dried. That one's come out really pretty as well, so I'm going to cut that up and make a card and a tag, and I'll be back to show you. Right, and there's the finished card and tag in the plain watercolour palette that I used. This time I've left the card blank so that I can add a sentiment at a later date. I don't want them all happy birthday. I might want to say thank you or whatever, but that's that one. And then finally I'm going to do same technique using the watercolour brush pens, so I should be back to show you that technique. Right, I'm back with my brush pens. Now I mentioned earlier, these are the Acacia Sai brush markers. I had these for Christmas from my husband, and they're lovely. They're really blendable. They're very, very similar to the Tombow markers, but they're much cheaper. They come in a set here, so I've picked out 3 colours. Mine came directly from Japan as well. You can't get them here in the UK, or I think you probably can, but they're expensive, whereas it was much, much cheaper. I got mine, can't remember whether it was Amazon or eBay, but I've chosen pink, yellow and orange, so that it's similar to the other watercolour page I did, and I'm just going to spray my page again with water. This will just help them blend, and again I'm just going to put the pens on in random places. And then I'm going to add some of the pink. Some more water. If you don't add the water first, you'll end up with some hard lines probably, which you don't want. They don't blend as well if you don't put water on first. So I have some of the yellow, and then I'm going to come in with my brush marker shortly and move things around. Right, and again you'll need quite a bit of water on your brush pen, just to move it all around. I mean, obviously this is going to be a much lighter colour than the others, but it's still really pretty, still really effective. And as I say, you don't have to use the Acacia side pens. Any of your water felt tip pens will do. The cheaper the pens, like some of the kids pens, are just not as highly pigmented, so that's the only difference really. They'll do the same kind of job, but as I say, you just won't have as much pigment in the colours, but they will work. So don't be put off. And I think that the Ducraft ones are really good. They've had mixed reviews, I've noticed online, but I think the pigment in them is quite good, and I like them. And then we'll have some more of the yellow. And then I should be out with my brush mark pen again in a second, just to blend it all around. Sorry, I'm probably moving this paper all over the place, aren't I? Right, so I'm going to come in again, activate my brush pen, and just go in and blend those colours. But you do need quite a lot of water, as I say, for this, otherwise they won't blend as well. And you'll end up with some hard, rigid lines. There we are, that's pretty. So I'm going to go away now and I shall dry that, and I shall come back when I've mounted it onto a card blank. Right, so this one's all nice and dry now, so I'm just going to go off and mount it onto a piece of blank card, and then I shall make a tag from the remaining leftover, and I'll be back once I've done that. Right, I'm back again with my 4 completed cards. And they're all lovely. I don't know which one's my favourite actually. I do like the Brusho one, and I think the ordinary watercolour one is really pretty as well. But then so are these. I don't know. I'll let you choose. Tell me from 1, 2, 3, 4 which one is your favourite. So this one was done with the Acacia Sai watercolour brush pens. And again, I've just put some trim on the leftover to make it into a tag. This one was done with my standard cheap watercolour palette, and again, that was the Specialist Crafts Art Design, Specialist Crafts Limited, based in Leicester, for about a £5. This is the Brusho technique, and this one is my homemade twinkling H2Os. So there you go, and as I say, they were all done with embossing pad and embossing powder and my heat gun first before I added the watercolour technique. Anyway, hope you like it. See you again soon. Take care. Bye.